Thank you, Deputy Presiding Officer. Like others, I welcome tonight's debate and congratulate my colleague Karen Gillan on bringing it to the Chamber. I have to say I was pleased to discover on being elected to Parliament that I automatically became a member of the Commonwealth Parliamentarians Association. And it was as a member of the CPA that I travelled to Kuala Lumpur for the CPA Annual General Meeting in August of last year, along with my colleague Tricia Marwick. There we joined elected members from countries across the Commonwealth, including those from other devolved administrations in the UK, from Wales and Northern Ireland. But I'm also, like others, delighted to welcome our friends from those other administrations who are here with us today. I hope they don't get the wrong impression about members' debates having packed galleries, because I see a lot more faces than are normally here on these occasions. But it's interesting to compare notes with politicians from other countries. I met one from Canada who told me that the size of his electorate — we politicians are always comparing the size of our electorates — he had an electorate of 6,000, but his constituency was the size of the Highlands, and he travelled to surgeries in his own light plane, something that I haven't had cause to do in Strathkelvin and Bearsden. And I met another politician from Pakistan who had an electorate of 600,000, 10 times the size of my own. But the one thing all three of us had in common was the type of complaints that we had to deal with from our constituents. The annual meeting was actually very interesting. We looked at issues of security and climate change and were able to share common experiences. And it was also interesting to compare notes on how different legislatures work. We worry about phones and Blackberries going off in the chamber, but in Australia one member was actually ejected from his parliament for using his laptop. So you can imagine my surprise when I discovered that they're actually allowed to do that in Wales. Now, this motion also mentions the long links that Scotland has enjoyed with Malawi and between CPA Scotland and Malawi. And again, while in Malaysia, I was able to meet with Tricia Marwick, parliamentarians from Malawi, and they expressed their gratitude for all that Scotland has done and is doing for their country. Like Karen Gillan, I too have primary schools and indeed secondary schools in my constituency that have connections with that country. Lairdesland Primary School in Kirkintilloch, where my own children attended, and Milton-Campsie Primary School, who played host to 3 head teachers from Malawi last summer, and indeed those same head teachers visited this Parliament, and I was pleased to welcome them here. It was clear from talking to them how much influence Scotland has had in that country, and also at the AGM of the CPA, how much influence Scotland has had in the Commonwealth. On a number of occasions I spoke to individuals who'd attended university here in Scotland, and those educational links were clearly very strong and had led to increased trade links between ourselves and their countries as well. And when wearing my kilt at social events, there was instant recognition as to my country of origin. I see you looking askance at me, Deputy Presiding Officer, but I assure you I did wear it, and Tricia Marwick can bear witness to that. And it was certainly a great way of getting conversation started, and it wasn't the perennial question of what a Scotsman does or does not wear underneath his kilt. Deputy Presiding Officer, in conclusion, I believe that the Commonwealth and its organisations have been a worldwide force for good. I congratulate them on reaching their 60th birthday, and if 60 is the new 40, then I've got much to look forward to. And hopefully I may be chosen again to represent the Scottish Parliament at a future annual meeting, and indeed I'm glad also to welcome members of other legislatures from across the Commonwealth to Scotland and the Scottish Parliament.